What's up, guys? So I'm gonna show you how I put together my LS bench harness. But first, truck, everything in the engine bay is done. So I just gotta finish one training line. I can fill the transmission up. I gotta get a neutral safety switch for the side of the transmission, because the one that was on this transmission when I got it was broke. And then what else do I got left to do? I think that's about it. I gotta get that heater box done so I can hook the heater hoses up. Once I get that done, I'll be pouring some coolant in this and pull the fuse on the coils and the fuel pump. We'll crank it over till we get oil pressure, and then we'll fire it up. So I'll show you what it's looking like. So I got the exhaust wrapped, turbo blanket on. I had to shorten up the oil feed line in return. Got the vacuum lines done. The fans are all wired up. I gotta get a hose for the brake booster to hook that vacuum up, or it's gonna sound like we got a big old huge cam in there. Finally got the plug for the wideband bung. Got to get the heater box hooked up, like I said, for the heater hoses. I couldn't loop it, but then when I get the heater box done anyway, I'm gonna have to deal with coolant pouring out everywhere. And the other day, I got rid of these 5.3s got like a neck on them for the oil fill, and I thought they were ugly, so I got rid of it. Well, when I first put oil in this, I hadn't had the coils on it yet. So the other day I went to top the oil off, and they put those long necks on there because this coil right here hits this oil cap, and I couldn't get the cap off. So I was like, well crap, I'm gonna have to put that ugly neck back on there. But what I ended up doing was I took these studs right here. They go, see how that one is there? They go in, and then they have like a stud on them. Well, I ended up taking these ones out, flipping them over, see it? And then I double nutted it and spaced it up. So when I spaced it up, it lifted the coil up high enough where I can get the oil cap off of there without having to run that big ugly neck. I was going to go down to Royal King and buy a couple stainless or chrome spacers and some longer bolts, and then I was just going to cut the heads off and use them for the shanks. But I ended up just double nutting it. You can't even really tell when you look at it that it's raised up. I mean, I guess you can a little bit, but that's what you got to do if you want to get rid of that ugly filler neck. But the bench harness, I had to make this last night. I had to make this bench harness last night because I had to do a computer. I had to flash it, remove the vats, and turn off speed limiter and all that good stuff. Well, I already put mine in my truck, and I don't have a battery hooked up in my truck yet because I'm waiting on a battery tray to come in the mail because I relocated it to under the frame. But so I decided to make a bench harness, and I looked it up on Sloppy Wiki and a couple other sites as well to kind of try and compare the two. And apparently all you need is just the blue connector to do a PCM that has red and blue connector, and a PCM that has green and blue connector. And you need that, an Obd2 port, a toggle switch, and a 12-volt power source. And if you want, you can add a light like I did. Kind of helps you know that you're getting power. And then the toggle switch is, those OBD2 ports are kind of funny. You might be able to get away with it just hooking it all up straight 12 volt and not having a switch. But if you, most of the time the OBD2 port won't work if you don't switch the ignition. So I got that wired up last night and got the computer flashed. I just got back. I had to take it to Lancaster and meat guy and just dropped it off. And I was going to make a video last night, but it ended up getting late by the time I got the harness done and the computer done. So I'll show you guys what pins you need to make a bench harness and how to wire it up. So you need the blue connector, you need the OBD2 port, a toggle switch, a fuse, and some wire. And if you want to add lights, I had these T10 bulb sockets laying around. So shit, what was I gonna say? And then a 12-volt power source. I thought I had a 12-volt power source, but I didn't, so I've been using the battery out of the truck. But on the back of the blue connector, I went to the junkyard. I went to Pick and Pull and got this and this OBD2 connector. And I think I paid like $2 for all of it. You go to a junkyard like Pick and Pull that doesn't really sell swaps. They don't really know what this is off of. If you go to another junkyard, you might have trouble getting this because they can sell the whole. They'll want to sell the whole harness. They're not going to want to nip just this connector off, because then that ruins the harness, which they can sell for $100, $50, you know, whatever they're going to charge you for it. If you go to Pick and Pull, most of the guys that are working at the counter have no clue what this is coming off of, and that you're just ruining a harness by cutting it. So, alright, so on the back of the blue connector, you're going to need pin 1, which is a ground. You're going to need pin 19, which is ignition. Pin 20, which is constant power. And you're going to need pin 57, which is constant power, and pin 58, which is your data serial, your serial data. And then you're going to need, down here, you're going to need pin 75, which is ignition, switch power, and then you're going to need pin 40. Now if you go on Sloppy Wiki, I believe he is only running this one ignition at 19, these two powers, the serial data, and then I believe pin 1. Now don't take my word for that. He's not using all these wires that I'm using. But I had already used this harness last night and programmed the computer, flashed it, everything worked. If it reads and writes, then you're good to go. So what you need to do is you need to take 20 and 57 and you need to wire those up to a fuse. So I got them running back here and they go to this fuse. Alright, and then I have another wire spliced out right here that runs up for my ignition. So then I got 12-volt power coming into this, and then the line coming out of this goes to pin 19 and pin 75. And then one of this white light here is hooked up to constant power. This blue light right here is my switch. And then on the Obd2 port, I didn't cut all these wires off because I just left them on there, kind of stiffen it up a little bit. So you're going to need alright, the orange wire there, all the way down in this bottom corner. So if you look at the front, it's this one, clear over here in the corner, which is pin 16. So you're going to need pin 16 on your Obd2 port. You're going to need pin, that is constant hot, is the orange wire, pin 16. You're going to need pin 5 and pin 4, which are your grounds. And then you're going to need pin 2, which is your serial data. It's purple if it comes from a GM vehicle. If you cut this out of a GM vehicle, you'll need the orange wire, the 2 black wires, and the purple wire. The green wire and the beige, tan wire, whatever, you don't need. Alright, so then we hook our HP tuners up. Oh shit. Alright, so we hook our HP tuners up, and then I got these, this is for my battery tender. Alright, and this came with my battery tender as well. So I plugged them together, and then I flip-flop and put the hot on this side because these are reversed. They're not meant to plug in each other. Alright, so we got our ground. Put the alligator clamp on here. And then we need to put alligator clamp on there. And you see this light's on, so that means we're getting 12 volt. Alright. And when I flip this toggle switch, let's see what the HP tuners are saying. See, it's saying we're getting power to the HP tuners. When I flip this switch, my blue light comes on. That means I've turned the key on in the vehicle. That's what this thing's thinking. This HP tuners is thinking. Alright. See, it's showing it's getting power. So that means that everything's good. Alright. So I'm either going to take this one back apart, or I'm going to build another one. And I'm going to wire up another light. I'm going to get a red one. And I'm going to wire up the check engine light. But the check engine takes a ground. It doesn't, the wire coming out of this connector, I'm not even 100% sure it's in this connector. I might have to use one or the other. I'll have to check the pin out. But I might have to use one of the other connectors to run the check engine light. If that's the case, I probably won't do it. But I want to add the check engine light. That way, if somebody brings me a computer and says, well, I can't get this check engine light to go off or whatever, I can hook the check. I'll have another bulb in here that's red, and it'll tell me when I'm flashing the computer, and when I turn it on, it'll tell me if the check engine light's on. Alright. And then after I flash the computer, disable check engine light or whatever, turn this off, turn it back on, that light shouldn't come on. But the check engine lights require the PCM sends a ground. So we would have to wire it hot and then let the PCM ground it out, and our light would come on. So it's pretty simple. If you guys need more help or having problems, comment. I'll try and walk you through it. I bought some Obd2 connectors off Amazon. It's no, that's not it. What do I do with them? No, I think I threw them down here. So bought these Obd2 connectors like this off Amazon. And they come with crimp-on ends. And they got this tiny little plastic piece that pushes in, that holds the wire. It's got a little ear on it, just like any other connector. But I was having a problem with, I crimp it, put the wire in, but then when I would plug my HP tuners in, it was pushing the pins out. I tried one of these on my truck, and I tried hooking the computer up like that, and it did the same thing. And then I tried doing it with the bench harness, and it done the exact same thing. So it's more fortunate to just go to the junkyard, get one, and it already have the wires on it. Solder them in, shrink wrap it, done. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend those Amazon Obd2 connectors. But that's it, y'all. If you need any help, got any questions, just comment and I'll see if I can help you. Thanks. Amelia, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Look, that is fun.
Fixing it? Huh.